Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to wait till these guys are done. All right, we will call this public meeting to order for Thursday, April 25th. Would you join me in the pledge?
Of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Missoula County acknowledges that this event takes place in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish and Kalispel people. We have one public announcement. It's a bummer. We look really good today.
Hello, everyone. If you're joining us for this meeting virtually today, instructions for turning on closed captioning are on your screen. If you're joining us in person, we'll have closed captioning on all the screens here in the Sophie Movies room. There will be an opportunity to speak during the meeting for public comment virtually and in person. We ask that all speakers today speak slowly and clearly. This helps with the accuracy of closed captioning. If you're on Microsoft Teams, if you would like to speak when discussion has been open for public comment, we ask that you use the raise hand feature. This is the small hand button. If you are calling in on the phone, you will need to hit *5 to raise your hand. Once called upon, you will need to hit *6 to unmute. If you have any questions, please find me during the meeting and let me know. Thank you.
Thanks. Do we have any public comment on items not on the agenda? Okay, any comment online? Going once, twice. Okay, we're going to dive right into it. We have 2 hearings today. But before those exciting hearings, I would like to let you know about our current claims list. Claims received as of April 3rd, 2024 to April 16th, 2024 by the Commissioner's Office total $3,308,284.33. Our first hearing, which is actually a second hearing, this is on an RSID for the Rowan Street improvements, and John Hart will present.
I'll kick it off, Commissioners. You'll recall on March 7th, you passed a resolution of intention to create RSID 8468, which would involve some improvements to Rowan Street, which is just off Old Highway 93 in the south part of the county. There are 125 properties in this proposed RSID. After you pass the resolution of intention, that a notice of that passage was published in the Missoulian for 2 consecutive weeks, and every property owner that would be subject to assessments under this RSID received a copy of the resolution of intent, and it was explained in there that they had an opportunity to protest creation of this RSID within a period of 30 days. The county received 4 written protests from 4 of the 125 property owners. I believe that, well, they're part of the agenda packet that was published for this meeting. I think you received all of them and had an opportunity to review them. And I'm not prepared to summarize them all, but I think it's fair to say that people were there might have been 1 or 2 that protests where the people just said, I don't want this RSID at all. A couple of the other protests said, well, I think we should look at expanding the roads that should, that could be improved as part of this RSID. And that would make me more inclined to support it. That's a very high level summary of the protests, but of course they're in the record. What we're going to do today, though, is, of course, this is a public hearing, and we should open it up to public comment on this RSID. But the purpose of this meeting is to hear these protests, and the statute says pass upon them. And you would only be prohibited from actually creating this RSID in the event that there were 50% or more of the property owners that had submitted a written protest in protest or in opposition to the notice of intention to create. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to take additional public comment on this, and then maybe answer some questions if they come up, and try to address those questions, and then you'll have an opportunity to decide whether or not you want to create the RSID. So this will be the third and fourth step in the 9-step process of creating an RSID. So assuming you create the RSID today, you'll be about halfway done.
John, could you describe the following steps? What has to happen between, if indeed we do create this today, what happens next?
The next thing that we will do is we'll, at the appropriate time, probably later this summer, pass a resolution to levy and assess the tax to pay back the amount of money that is borrowed to pay for the materials to do these road improvements. And then that notice of that levy goes out, and then there is another opportunity to protest that and a hearing on that protest. And then that's the 7th and 8th step, and the 9th step is delivery of the resolution, which I think is basically a ministerial act. But the courts look at it as a 9th and essential step.
So I gathered the next thing we should do is ask if there's anyone here who would like to speak to the creation of this RSID. Please do. And please, sir, make sure you push the button so the green light comes on and say your name. Thank you.
All right. Hello, my name's Don Sachs. I happen to be a resident of McIntosh Manor, where Rowan Road is located. I'm also the president of the Homeowners Association, and I was the person that went around collecting the initial signatures in support or opposition to this RSID. I feel it's a good thing for the neighborhood. We have over 5 miles of dirt road. This would pave about 3/4 of a mile of the main road that goes up the hill. It'll be a tremendous savings for the Homeowners Association in terms of maintenance and upkeep and improvements. But that money is just not going to go in the bank. We have a really inexpensive HOA fee, which is $300 annually. We put that into plowing, maintenance, and dust control. We will be using the money saved on this project to put into all of our side roads. And that will help bring those more in line with what our residents expect, and hopefully maintain property values and increase the aesthetics of the neighborhood.
Thank
you. One of our neighbors just walked in, so he might want to.
Check, mic check. Hey, I'm Matt Manley. As he mentioned, am a resident of the neighborhood as well. I'm not opposed to the paving. I'm simply opposed to the scope of the paving. I believe that putting the burden on the entire homeowners association for the benefit of, as he pointed out, a mile or mile and a half of the 5 miles doesn't make sense to me. It would be analogous of charging everybody in Lolo for road improvement between Lower Miller Creek Road and Blue Mountain Road. Like the idea, but I think if we're going to make the investment, we need to make the investment for as much of that county road as possible. There's still another 2 miles that could be done. If we do this now and provide the paving access on the lower part of the hill, we will never be able to get enough consent from the upper part of to pave the upper part of the hill from the people who are already paved.
Low.
So I think we're kind of cutting our nose off to spite our face. So I oppose it.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak to this? Shane, do you have anything to add to this?
Well, just for the, the last comment, I think the portion that was petitioned for improvement benefits everybody in that development. And so if you start adding some of these smaller segments of road, I kind of think it's going to be challenging to say, like, how do you assess? Sure, how do you assess everybody for some of these short segments of road, right? And I think what we can say unequivocally that everybody that lives in that development benefits from the work that's proposed, right? So these shorter segments, it would just be hard to say that everybody benefits from them if we wanted to include them. That's a challenge. I don't know, John, if you want to speak to that, but and we can do RSIDs in the future that may be lower cost because we will have, millings available. We didn't have millings available when we were originally working with Don to develop this RSID. And we do now, and frankly, we'll probably see some savings and using the millings off of Highway 93. So there's potential we could utilize those and try to improve the remainder of those roads up there too. So I don't know if you want to add anything, John, to the difficulties of trying to add additional roads too, and in the fact that we've got a petition that's focused on one specific road, not all the other roads. I don't know what the process might even be to try to change that.
Well, the challenge, just as Shane has pointed out, is that you commissioners have to find that the properties within a proposed RSID are benefited by the improvements. And that's what you found at the meeting on March 5th. And that's why you passed this resolution of intention to create, is because there was a finding that you made at the end of that hearing, and it was embodied in the resolution itself, that all of these 125 properties will have some benefit by the improvements to this section of Rowan Street or Rowan Road. The problem with some of the I'll call them arterial roads to the west and upslope from Rowan Street is it would be hard then to make that finding of a benefit to those properties that are closer and east down by Highway 93. And I might add, I mean, I appreciate Mr. Manley's comment, and he and his wife did submit one of the 4 written protests. And I mean, he has a valid perspective there, but it would be difficult from a factual and legal standpoint to include some of these arterial roads and find that they're an actual benefit to everybody in the proposed area.
Thanks. Sir, did you want to speak again?
So appreciate all the work you guys have put into this. And again, I'm not opposed to the paving. I'm not. I'm simply opposed to the scope of the paving. And you've actually made my point. You can't today find benefit to the people to the east of, what's that, Dundee Road, by paving Dundee Road and above anywhere. And as far as arterial goes, that's still part of the artery to get to the majority of the houses on the west side of Dundee. And you can't find the benefit to the people below today to continue that paving. So our ability to ever find an SID or an RSID or a proposal to continue that paving on what, as a resident, I consider to be the artery that takes it up the hill, it'll never come, because you're already discounting the benefit to the people east of Dundee. So if they don't have any benefit for helping us pave ours, it makes it really difficult for me to support paving what they will benefit from the most. And again, I speak of that both as a resident, and hopefully Don will attest to this. I also do a lot of the winter maintenance on that road set up there. And the most difficult parts of the road to maintain are the ones that aren't paved, obviously. And so we're going to be improving the road winter maintenance for Rowan Road, but it's not going to do anything for the rest of the artery to go up the hill. So again, I get why you're doing it. I can't say I'm a fan, only based on the economics to the people who are west of Dundee Road. So.
Please.
I'd just like to add a little bit more background information as far as what roads are public and what roads are private to help make a more sound decision. Rowan Road a number of years ago was a private road, but became a non-maintained county road. The other public roads within the McIntosh Manor neighborhood, which should be, I believe, Queen Anne's, and then you have Dundee and Highland. All three of those roads run north and south. Every other road in the subdivision is considered a private road. There is one road that kind of zigzags between Dundee and Highland called Sandy Lane, and that is part of the main thoroughfare in a way that goes up. That is, to the best of my knowledge, considered a private road. So, you know, the county would be, I mean, you could take on a whole project of declaring these roads public roads. And then you get into the whole thing, well, how are you going to maintain those roads, or if the county is going to maintain those roads? But as we were developing the RSID, the biggest stumbling block was, okay, we get up Rowan Road to the intersection with Dundee. We could probably pave another 300 yards of Dundee to Sandy Lane, but then we'd be stuck in a way, because the next road is a private road that goes farther up the hill. Even though there's a public road up above that, there is no, in general, public, or, well, I was going to say public access, but it is not considered a county road. Well, I have.
We have our public works director right here.
Yeah.
In our surveyor, and I don't know if Sandy Drive is public or private, but it does certainly connect two segments of public roads. You might argue that there's a prescriptive easement, but yeah, we'd have to, I couldn't tell you right now, Josh, without taking a hard look at stuff.
Now, to add a little more to the information, if you were, I think originally, if you were to continue Rowan Road straight up the hill, and it's, I wish I could point to a map, it'd be kind of easier to, yeah. But there is a kind of a part of Rowan Road that is unused, and kind of goes straight up by the Radcliffes, kind of, and that is a block of land that doesn't belong to anyone, and I believe it's part of the original Rowan Road.
Wait, Shane, can you move, who's with the cursor? Can you show who he's talking about?
So,
Oh, sorry, Cheryl.
all right. Yeah, if you could go to the west. All right, do you see that? There's that little strip of land kind of in the middle that's, there's no road, but there's a little strip of land. Can,
Gotcha. Thanks,
yeah.
Matt.
Now, as far as that was part of the original Rowan Road, because when you get to the, well, I guess the map is oriented to the north. If you get farther to the west, you can see the road continues. That is technically, no, other way. Yeah, that is technically Rowan Road again.
Rowan to Highland.
Yeah.
And I'm
So
sorry, Mike, you were saying that between Highland and the Dundee Rowan intersection, that is, I'm sorry, oh, Rowan, I see where it turns. Sandy, yeah.
So this is the segment of road we're talking about paving.
Yep.
Yep.
This is Dundee. And right here, it turns into, this sign says Sandy. Goes up here to Highland.
But
Yeah,
doesn't
but
it
I'm
become
gonna
Rowan?
correct you right there
Right at that corner.
because yes. Okay, I thought you were gonna. That's just kind of what we're dealing with. It's a mishmash of roads in
Yep.
the neighborhood, and they're all dirt. So
Thank you. So just I want to make sure that I've heard the numbers correctly. You wouldn't mind saying again, how many neighbors are affected by this or would be in the RSID?
There's 125 properties that will be included in this RSID.
And we received 4 protests.
Correct,
And the threshold for protest was 50%.
correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think a protest, to reach that 50% threshold, I think you need to have people come and say, well, it would be fine if they just said, no, I don't want to be a part of this. But what I haven't seen in any of the written protests and what I haven't heard today is people saying, I get no benefit at all from this RSID. And I think that's something that you ought to consider, because what you have to find in creating this is that there are benefits to everybody, and no one has come forward and said, I don't benefit at all from this.
Thanks. Yeah, okay.
to add to the idea of the numbers, when I initially was going through the neighborhood to collect signatures, we had 66% of those 125 lots that were in favor of this project. We did not collect 100% of the signatures. We only got to 94% of the total of the 125. So, but in total, we had 66% of those lots in support of this project.
Thanks. Juan, do you have any questions for anybody?
I didn't know if Tester, do you have anything you wanted to add to this?
No, not really. But if needed, I can certainly find out which right-of-ways are public and which are private.
Thank you.
It wouldn't take me long.
Thanks.
As in, like, you could do it over the course of this meeting?
You'd have to.
I
go
don't know
to
if
his
it's in your
office.
pocket, but okay. Okay.
Motion?
Yeah, again, the numbers, the benefit, kind of the position that we're put in, it doesn't feel like we can really say no to this. And it doesn't make sense to say no. So yes, I move to create RSID 8468. Oh, and adopt a resolution creating RSID 8468.
All right, any further public comment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks for coming. Appreciate what you all had to say.
I get it. Thanks for everything you guys do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And there will be millions.
There will be millings.
Okay.
All right, our next hearing is actually a first hearing. This is a petition for unnamed petitioned road between Waldo Road and I-90 and Michael Tester. Oh, Sam Scott, we'll chat.
I'm jumping in front of Mike just for
All
a
right.
quick spiel. Sam Scott with the Clerk and Recorder. A petition to abandon a county right-of-way has been submitted to our office. The road to be abandoned is the unnamed 1887 road between Waldo Road and I-90 in section 16 and 17, Township 14 North, Range 20 West, as well as sections 20 and 21 between the south right-of-way of Waldo Road and the north right-of-way of Interstate 90. The petition was signed by more than 10 freeholders of the road district, and the fee is paid in full. Notice of hearing was published twice in the Missoulian, and all affected property owners have been affected or have been noticed. The affected landowners have signed, with the exception of the Montana Department of Transportation, who has not provided any protest for the petition. I know that Toby and Mike both have probably quite some history with this
Great.
project, and I believe we've also scheduled a viewing and second hearing as well. That I think Cheryl has
I
those
think
dates,
is it your turn or?
Turn. Yeah, I haven't been on a viewing in a while.
so I would leave that for Toby or Mike to give some background.
Whoever would like to go first?
Mike Tester with the County Surveyor's Office. So this particular petition is somewhat unique in the fact that it's already been petitioned for to be abandoned in 2009.
Huh.
And the board at that time elected not to abandon, but to alter it conditionally on the filing of Gallatin Estates, which is to the west of the section line between 20 and 21. And so the reason it's in again is because Gallatin Estates has not been platted. If it would have been, then it would have been altered. So Toby and PCI they're trying to plat against the section line for O'Keefe Ranch Estates Phase 4. So they're looking to unburden that land by abandoning it prior to the platting. I don't know exactly the reasons it was not abandoned and instead altered in 2009. Maybe there was thought that an underpass would happen at some point in the future. But I do want to say that in that regard, the Y is about 3/4 of a mile to the southwest on the interstate, and Lois L Lane is about 2 miles to the northwest as far as traffic and access north and south of the interstate. So do you guys have any more questions?
I mean, this is just open. We can't.
We
we're
got
not-
to just gather.
Need a viewing,
information.
yeah.
But I
Gotcha.
feel like Toby, you
Gotcha.
would like to say something.
Yes.
Toby Dumont with PCI. We're currently trying to plot continuing phases of O'Keefe Ranch Estates. When we get up against that section line, these lots will be encumbered by this 30-foot easement if we don't deal with it at some point. Previously in the Gallatin Estates, the road is going to be altered and follow some public roads that are being granted in Gallatin Estates. That hasn't happened, so that road theoretically has not been altered or abandoned. We're providing some public roads going through O'Keefe Ranch Estates. It's just trying to clean that up over on that west boundary.
Toby, can you just trace, I can't remember what it looks like. Where are the proposed roads or this phasing?
This platted road follows this fence line. You're platting some roads.
And then do they go back out to, or do they go back to B 574 or whatever, or to Waldo Road?
They start at Waldo. It doesn't do a loop until if Gallatin Estates gets platted. then it would be a loop road going through there.
Okay, and then it comes back out to Waldo further west
Would
of
it-
that section line?
Would
Okay.
it hook up with this right here.
Oh, right, and I was just wondering where does
It's
it
gonna
go?
go-
It runs into the section line and then comes out here, or what? Where does it?
Good question. I don't know.
So is it, the proposal is, the next phase is on west of the section line, or what happens to that?
It's on the east side of the section line.
Oh, everything is just on the east side.
Mhm.
This east side.
Mhm.
This is Gallatin Estates.
I'm sorry, I was merging. Okay.
We've got a conditional road that will come through, connect here, eventually go through.
Got it. Thank you.
Sir,
Yeah, this is really confusing, having these two different subdivisions side by side.
Yeah.
There's a system of coordinated roads between the two that, just don't exist today, so you can't see them. Just this week, I received some information about Gallatin Estates and how it's going to be developed. And I think what would be very helpful is at the time of the second hearing on this road petition, to have a representative come and illustrate how it's intended to, that Gallatin Estates is intended to be developed and how the roads will connect. And that the vision that everybody had 15 or 20 years ago is actually going to be completed, and the road system is going to be completed. And it will be public roads such that it will make much more sense to abandon this short piece of road and not as confusing as it seems today, just looking at it.
Thank you.
thanks.
Oh,
So the road viewing is going to be on Tuesday, May 7th, from 2 to 4 at the site. And then the second hearing will be on May 9th.
Thank
thank
you.
you.
That work for you?
I believe so.
All right. Any other, thank you. Any other comment? Anybody want to speak to this? And I imagine, Toby, if it's all right, next time, do you want to bring something you can move the cursor on and talk about? This is totally fine. No criticism at all. It's just preliminary. No big deal.
I think like John said, a copy of that, maybe of the phasing plan. for
Yes, please.
each branch
Be fantastic.
and Something with Gallatin.
Yeah. Some you can put up on the screen and wiggle around would be fantastic. So, but we're perfectly satisfied with how this went today. Anybody else like to say anything? All right, great. Thank you all for doing this, and I think we're done. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, is this what Mike gave us? So,
That was from the 2009 petition where
oh, and I just now looked at them. Okay.
I had a USB with more photos and stuff to